let's not go to the point where we're, slugging down a bottle of whiskey because we're like, oh gosh, I might lose my house.
Yeah, don't look like Chris on Saturday.
Right. Oh, yeah, what's up, baby? That's right. That was last Saturday, and I will be doing the same this Saturday. That's right. Yeah, baby, that's right. It will be Christmas Eve. I'll have more family around.
Yeah.
I have not had the best track record on Christmas Eve the last few years.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's been I haven't been Santa's helper, that's for sure.
Ooh.
When it comes time to, hey, kids, go to bed, so the wife and I can start to put the gifts out and do all that.
Yeah.
I have found to be passed out a few times the last few years and have been unable to help my wife. So I've been feeling guilty about that. I'm going to try not to do that this week. Okay.
You say try.
I know. But it's just, it's hard for me. All right. I'm a pedal to the metal kind of guy. I think you know that enough about me. Whether it's work, life, whatever, I go hard. And when it's time to play, I play hard. And I'm a little worried between, yes, a full day of family.
Yeah.
A bar there the whole day, my own, greenery addictions, and then food. So never-ending food the whole day. It could be a disaster.
So it's more than your immediate family there. It'll be there on Christmas Eve, right? Like my dad will be there. Your mom.
My dad's not going to be there because it's the NFL Saturday on Sunday on the Saturday, so he won't be there. The rest of my family, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, their family. So yes, everybody. It'll be a bigger event.
So you don't act any different, no matter if it was them there or them not there. And just your immediate family or not your immediate family. Like, you're going to do whatever you're going to do.
I'm going to do whatever I'm going to want to do. But the problem is when they're there, I probably go another level of hard, right? Because it's just more, there's more action. And, hey, Chris, can you make me a drink? Well, I might as well make myself another drink while I'm over here. And that's kind of what happens. So that's where it can be dangerous. Or, exactly. Hey, Chris, like my brother-in-law. You smoke? Oh, no, I've already smoked a lot. Like, you want some? Here, I'll give you some. Well, come out here and smoke with me. Oh, okay. I've had a lot to drink and smoke already, but I'll smoke some more. That's the problem with a big family gathering.
So when you come into this place on Sunday morning, you could be in rough shape.
I could be in rough shape. The good thing is don't have to be here in the morning on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be able to get here in the afternoon.
Oh, that's good.
So I'll get to – and my kids are at an age where I don't think you're at this yet. Huh. They don't run in our room on Christmas morning at 7 a.m. anymore. Yeah. And they're like, come on, we got to get up. Santa's here. They'll wake up at 9:30.
Yeah.
Right. 10
they go,
o'clock.
Santa's on our schedule.
Yeah,
now.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to sleep in. We're growing. We're a teenager and on the verge of being a teenager.
Yeah.
So I will get to sleep in. You on the other hand.
Our kids are up early.
Yeah. Like how early?
I mean, they're up at 6 a.m.
normally,
regardless. Yeah.
So will that happen on Christmas Eve any earlier?
You know what? I'm hoping not, but it could. Like if they're up at 5:30, they're up. Right. I mean, if they wake up and they look at the clock and it's 5:15, they don't care.
Yeah, you're right. Especially on Christmas morning.
So we're all up.
You're screwed.
So it'll be a long day for us too. There'll be some drinking involved in the Freed household.
Good.
Well.
That's what we like to hear, baby.
I'm looking forward to it.
Wearing your red pants for Christmas, too. Look at this. What a special day.
I'm wearing it for this day. So we're going to get into a lot of things here. We're going to get into the playoff teams, some red flags for some of these playoff teams that have clinched already or on the cusp of clinching, and some green flags, some statistical green. That's Christmas spirit right there, right? Those are the colors. So we're going to get into that. Let's first start with this. Franco Harris passed away at the age of 72. We found that out today. The 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception is Friday, and the Raiders play the Steelers on Saturday. You see all on Twitter and people sharing it on TV, all their memories of Franco Harris from all accounts, just a great guy to know. And,
great.
And you had the opportunity to meet him a couple times, correct?
Yeah, for a few times. I mean, he's just he's like, it couldn't have been a nicer human being. You never would have thought he was a ex-macho 70s, star running back in the NFL. He was more like, wiser, older, very calm father figure who just couldn't be nicer to you. And not just like, BS nice too. Like legitimately wanted to sit there, look at you in the eye and talk a little bit and how's life. And so the person was amazing. And then the player, for a guy like you and me where, again, we were born, right outside that Steelers dynasty. But again, me growing up in a household that was football, of course, my early recollections still of like learning history of football, of course, started with the 70 Steelers. And, hearing my dad talk about those teams and then going back and watching old NFL films and highlights and things like that. I mean, at that time, 1986, 87, when I'm doing that type of stuff, they were the team in the history of the NFL. So you went back and started there. Let me watch, the NFL films highlights of Super Bowl 13. Let me watch 14. Let me watch 9. Let me watch 10. And then let alone, I think, probably like the first majestical play I ever learned of in the lures of football were the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah.
So some of my early years of football, learning the history of the game, was so based around that Steelers team and Franco Harris. And that's where it's really sad to see a legend like this go.
The fact that play happened, first of all, is crazy, right? If that play were to happen at any time in any game, you'd be like, wow, that's one of the craziest plays.
That was amazing, right?
But for it to happen at that moment in that game.
AFC divisional game.
Right, a playoff game.
Right. Huge rivalry.
Yeah, you can make the argument that is the craziest play of all time. And you had the statue.
Really
you're seeing it right now on Peacock or YouTube.
See in the airport when you're going.
At the airport, the statue of Franco Harris of that play.
So it's amazing. And it's got a little controversy around it, right?
Yeah.
So there's that aspect. Of course, it was the start of the great rivalry. And even in that game there, that was a game where people thought the Raiders were going to win that for sure, and everybody was looking for the Raiders-Dolphins AFC Championship game showdown. That was going to be the matchup. So they upset the apple cart there a little bit. And too, I mean, that play and the rest of those legends there, I mean, I think that's the beginning of putting I don't mean to be like Pittsburgh sports on the map, Pittsburgh on the map in general.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like such a big moment and kind of the jump-off spot for their 4 Super Bowls. And shame to see him go. And such a, part of the Pennsylvania DNA as far as going to Penn State and playing at Pittsburgh and all of that. So, yeah, R.I.P. Franco Harris. Shame to see. Saturday, you talked about they're playing the Raiders. He's going to get his jersey retired Saturday. I mean, it's just he was on the radio with Chris Mad Dog Russo yesterday. I think that's what's shocking about it is nobody felt like this was coming anytime soon.
Right.
And you just kind of get an uppercut learning about this.
What'd you say, Pete? That was their first playoff victory.
It was their first playoff.
That's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Their 40th season. Because, you and me, we feel like the Steelers have always been good.
Exactly.
It was like they were winning championships well before we were born. But no, that was the beginning of it with that catch. So, yeah, thoughts out to all those who knew him. We'll certainly see more stories shared throughout the weekend in the NFL. Doesn't look like the Steelers are going to make the playoffs this year. But we're going to talk about the teams who are in or close to getting in.
Yeah.
We'll start with our BetMGM Super Bowl odds. Take a look at this here. So here are the Super Bowl odds. The best chance right now to get to the Super Bowl at plus 375, the Buffalo Bills and your boy Blue. Eagles right below them at plus 400. I'm a little surprised by that.
Are little? I'm almost fell off I didn't see this until right now. I almost fell off my chair.
You were looking at me like, when are you going to stop talking so I can yell?
I was looking at the graphic on our computer, and then I went to go look at the screen that we have of a return monitor, and I was like, I want to make sure what I had in the computer was not the same. I had to double take it.
Yeah.
I mean, what? How are the Eagles not the favorite? I couldn't even confidently bet on the Bills to make it out of the AFC right now. I mean, I couldn't do that.
Chiefs the third choice right now, plus 500.
And I think you can make an argument. The one that jumps out to me would be, the 49ers and the Bengals, especially the Bengals. You could make an argument that the Bengals are the best team in the AFC top to bottom. I mean, yes. So that's where I'm very shocked by that.
I am shocked, too, because it seems like almost like a foregone conclusion they'll be the 1 seed, where I think there's still some work to do if you're the Bills.
A ton of work. I mean, they got to play the Bengals next week. What? That ain't going to be easy. So that's where, I mean, I don't think it's anything locked up there. The only thing we know that's locked up is in the NFC. And that damn team in green down in Philly.
Yeah.
And that's the only team that we can call that's great this year. So that's where I'm shocked by it. I'm shocked to see that. I mean, I wouldn't even bet money to bet on the Bills coming out of the AFC Championship. Like, I wouldn't do that. So for them to just put them in the Super Bowl, I'm really surprised.
So maybe you want to rush over to BetMGM right now. The action never stops at BetMGM. You can sign up now using the bonus code SIMS. Your first wager risk-free, up to $1,000.
Man, so say you bet $100 on the Giants or the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl. Well, holy crap, you're going to be rich because if you win, you'll get $8,000.
Nice.
But if you lose, you'll still get $100 worth of free bets.
So you simply download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com, enter the bonus code SIMS to make your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. As we said at the beginning of the show, just bet as much as you have
responsibly.
to lose. Bet responsibly.
That's right.
Out there. Don't get too crazy.
Yeah.
But we're going to get crazy right now
woo,
with those
woo,
playoff teams
Let's
that we
go,
just listed
let's go.
there. So, this is our What the F Happened Wednesday. We take a closer look, and by we, I mean you. Take a closer look at the film.
You take a closer look at things.
I'll add some of the stats.
Right.
So this is what we've done.
You look at stats to go, wait, is Chris totally crazy? Let me prove him wrong. Wait, Chris is onto something here, and let me keep diving down this wormhole.
I go,
here.
how is he going to explain away this stat? So we're going to talk about the Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Eagles, Vikings, 49ers, Cowboys, a statistical green flag, so something that's like, oh, that's good. This looks good on paper. And Chris then will say why it's actually not good. And then a schematic red flag. So green flag, red flag. So some of the things that maybe we need to look out for some of these playoff teams and some of the things they got going for them.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Buffalo Bills right now. Chris's favorite. I'm sorry, BetMGM's favorite to win the Super Bowl right now, not Chris's favorite, although he does like the quarterback over there. They're 11-3. They have clinched a playoff berth. We do know that. They just beat Miami in the fourth quarter Snow Bowl in Buffalo by 3 points. You looked at the tape for this one. Let's start with kind of like the Bills' offense.
Yeah.
Like overall, and of course you've praised Josh Allen. He's making plays. Sometimes it looks like the whole team is on his shoulders.
Yeah.
When you take a look at the tape and the scheme and the other players,
right.
I mean, does it seem like he is getting more help than maybe it appears just by watching the game on TV?
No, it does not. I'm sorry. It does not. There's nothing easy for him. That's where I feel for him a little bit. Now, listen, they're still really good. I get that. And I think the talent is overrated, as you've heard me say. I mean, it is. The scheme is good. I'm not blown away by it. I'm not sitting here and going, oh, my gosh, this is, Kyle Shanahan or Andy Reid or whatever. But the Ken Dorsey offense, it's good. And the best thing they do that makes them dangerous is they stay aggressive. They know who their, chosen one is. So the fact that they continue call plays where it's like, they call plays to get 20 and 25-yard completions, and, of course, that backs the defense up. And if you're open by an inch, he gets it in there. So that is what keeps them dangerous, because then also when you open the field up that way, right, and he's so dangerous by the fact that they're aggressive and they keep attacking, that's when the scrambles happen. That's when he can hit an underneath throw and they can get some yards after the catch. But still, I mean, yes, it's too Josh Allen-centric. And there's just not enough guys on the football team that can separate. That would be my biggest issue. Out of the receiver position, and Pete, I was having this conversation with him a little bit earlier because I was just going, Diggs is really the only guy I look at that can get open. Like against a good corner, man-to-man, he's the only guy. And I know people out there are still on this Gabe Davis thing, but then Pete came to me and he's like, actually, he's like, separation with Gabe Davis, and when you look at, some of the people who keep track of this, he's never separates. So, yes, and then you talk about the running of the football. Well, the traditional run game is non-existent there. So, that's where it worries me a little bit for them. And, yes, he played phenomenal. I don't know what else to say about it. Again, him and Mahomes are arguably the greatest one-man shows I've ever seen, let alone just this year. And, it's his miraculous ability that helped him win this football game.
He is one of 3 quarterbacks to lead his team in rush yards and rush TD. Justin Fields is the other. Lamar Jackson is the other one. Names you expect to see there, but not necessarily what you want to see there. You want to see some help around Josh Allen. So this is the kind of the red flag part of the Bills here. And so why don't we just talk about the defensive red flag that you saw too when you looked at this film with the Dolphins? Because we will talk a little bit about the Dolphins too, because they're on the cusp of a playoff spot here too. And there were some things you actually liked on that side of the ball. But defensively for the Bills, I think a couple of your red flags from your notes. It just seems like who's the playmaker on this defense now?
That's the thing. That's right. Let's start there. Who's the guy, that you can look at to go, that's a real stud. He can make some plays in a big moment here. You get to other good defenses in the sport, like there's a handful of them with the Eagles. There's, quite a few with the 49ers. And you got Bosa, Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. They, Hufunga. Holy shit. They got, so those guys, they have guys that can really make plays outside the scheme and all that. This is where the Von Miller injury is a little concerning. Because, again, it's really good, but the red flag I would throw on that side of the ball there is just like it's a little too McDermott and Leslie Frazier dependent on their great scheme and everything there. So that would be – Ed Oliver's a good player, right? I don't look at it and go, oh, he's great. He's in the top defensive tackle conversation. There's no pass rusher to worry about. I mean, Gregory Rousseau he's got, I think, 7 sacks or something like that. Still doesn't lead the team. Von Miller hasn't played in a month. He's still leading the team in sacks, so I think that says something too. And, Rousseau, all his sacks came in like the first few games of the year. He's kind of been non-existent as far as pressuring the quarterback that way. So I worry about that. Then you get into the secondary. They have no shutdown corner. You saw my notes. Tre'Davious White is... The Dolphins dropped the ball by not attacking him. There's no way he could have covered Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. They dropped the ball. When they attacked him, people were open. And if Tua threw the ball accurately, it was a big completion. They did not go after him enough. Tre'Davious White can't run right now. So that's an issue. Jordan Poyer, hey, he's smart. He knows what to do. He can't really run. So I just go, who's the guy they're going to be able to depend on to make something happen in a big moment in the AFC playoffs? And that scares me, Ahmed.
You know what's helped them so far, though? Yeah. And here's my green flag.
Yeah.
So that we just beat down Bills fans with those schematical red flags. Here's a green flag.
We talk enough positive about them. They can handle a little negative here. We're talking about Super Bowl Bills, so we got to pick them apart a little.
So here's the defense. So last year, in goal-to-go situations, they gave up a touchdown 73% of the time. That was mid-pack in the NFL. That was 17th in the NFL. This year, they're giving up a touchdown just 60% of the time. That is the third best in the NFL.
Yeah.
So in crunch time, down by the goal line,
right,
they have been difficult to score upon.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that. And again, I think that goes into they're smart. You don't have to worry about, behind you. They're really well coached that way. So that's where I'm not shocked by it. And they are better against the run than I felt like last year or the year before. Where, there's some teams they played last year where I go, well, this team's just going to smash it down their face and they're going to score a touchdown. Like, there's nothing they're going to be able to do, right? Whether it was the Titans in the regular season, the Colts in the regular season last year, they had those issues. They are definitely better and deeper on the D-line. That gives them Here's the guy I look at to be one of the keys to the success for their year. They need Jordan Phillips back and healthy. Jordan Phillips is a under-the-radar game wrecker, and he's by far their best run-stopping defensive lineman. So he is his value, and I think he's close to being healthy here.
He is. He was back on the practice field yesterday.
Right. So they need him down the stretch. Because he can two-gap, which can help them out for a little flexibility in the run game. But I think his health is paramount. But bottom line, red flags. McDermott, Frazier, too much on them, scheme-wise. And then, Allen, is anybody more responsible for the total yards of their football team than Josh Allen? I would have a hard time thinking that's not the case. I know Jalen Hurts is probably up there, but, Josh Allen, again, when their traditional run game, it's negative Ghost Rider. There's nothing there. And that scares me in the AFC where there's some damn good teams.
He had to face a little bit different attack by the Dolphins this time. Let's get into that side of the ball here because Allen versus the Dolphins, they blitzed him quite a bit the first time they played, week number 3, 38% of his dropbacks. But last week it was just 17%. He was just 5 of 8 for 64 yards. So from what you saw from the film, was this a different, less aggressive approach from a Dolphins defense against Josh Allen?
Yes, definitely less aggressive. Not as much like, in your face, we're bringing the house and we're going to leave a guy with no safety help and you can just, tear us up that way, right? So, and the thing that I think was interesting here, and the Finns always opt to be a little aggressive, and they're getting better where they're being tactical about it, where it's not going all in on it all the time, which is, I think, burned them a little bit here and there. But, the other thing they did in the game, and doubled Diggs a little bit in the first half, put Xavier Howard on Gabe Davis. And it's like, okay, let's do that in case they come out and, maybe they have some plays designed for Diggs, so we can just take him out and we feel good about Xavier Howard and Gabe Davis. So, and then it worked pretty good. the second half, I think they got to a point where they went, all right, we're kind of comfortable, and we might change up the defenses a little bit here. And they put Xavier Howard on Stephon Diggs and let him just go man-to-man. And then worried about maybe we'll rush 5, or we're going to have a QB spy for Josh Allen so he can't scramble and run and do that. So they played that style a little bit, but it was definitely less aggressive. And I still think there's a point where I still think it's maybe even a hair too aggressive for me, because I just think they're good enough up front to where they don't need to do it as much as they do.
How about some of those guys up front? You've talked about Christian Wilkins in the past.
Yeah.
But you don't think it's just him up there in the front. You think Raekwon Davis popped on tape for you?
He always does. I mean, he's an elite run game stuffer. So that's where him. Seiler. I always meant number 92. Yeah. I mean, they're shut down defensive tackles, and they put them on the field together a lot of the times. So they'll have those 3 on the field with Jalen Phillips as their one pass rusher, and they'll just go, all right, good luck running. We got 4 guys. We got 3 D tackles in the game and a guy that's a defense end who's actually good against the run too. So now we can play coverage or do whatever, and we can still kind of stop the run with this group. They're phenomenal up front. They really are. And there's no, as we've always talked about with good teams, there's no offense that's going to overmatch them in that department as far as being able to run or protect all day. They're really good.
I think it's one of the things we talked about on the Monday pod is that if you're a Dolphins fan, there are a lot of things that you look at this game and you're like, there's a lot of things to be optimistic about, even if you lost.
Agreed.
And on the offensive side of the ball as well.
Definitely.
A little bit better game. They kept him in it in cold conditions here. A couple things on offense before we go on to the next playoff team here for the Dolphins. They were a little bit better in the passing game.
Yep.
Tua played a little bit better, maybe. We'll get into that. But I want to start with the running game.
Yeah.
Because I think there were a lot of people clamoring the last couple of weeks, like, they should run it. They should run it. Stay with the run. Does the tape tell you the same thing, or is it a different story?
No, it does. They definitely were better with it in this football game. I still came away going, they probably could have been a little bit more patient with it. I understand. Again, and it's not the easiest adjustment, just because, is the pass game and all that stuff has been so great all year. So, they're kind of slowly making that transition to go, wait, we got to get back to this a little bit so we can help open up some of the other stuff, because teams have figured out how to defend some of our RPOs and play actions and all of that. But they're getting, in this game, that's where it was a little surprising. Buffalo, there's plays where they're in run defenses, and it just doesn't matter. And that's where, again, I get into the conversation about some of the red flags with Buffalo a little. And that's where I got into they need Jordan Phillips back. But they're still a dangerous football team. And some of the holes they opened up in this football game were big. And, of course, he knows how to stress you out, too, with running the ball and then still having the threat of the speed sweep or some sort of, it could be the RPO, or this guy's going 1,000,000 miles per hour and we got to kick the linebackers over and they say set hut. And now we're kind of just figuring out what gap we're in, and the ball's coming down to me in the running game. And was I in this gap or that gap? I just moved over because my rules changed because of the motion. And that's what they do to you. And I think they could use it, even more than what they do.
So they need to run the ball a little bit more. You said the pass game didn't get a whole lot going outside of a Raheem Mostert swing pass early on.
Early on, it wasn't much, right? They had a plan for the RPO game. They were man-to-man a little bit again in that department. Right? And that to me is where I thought they dropped the ball. Like you're going to be man-to-man and Tre'Davious White on those guys, you got to take some shots. You just got to go, all right, we're going to drop back. And if you want to play this way, I'm going to keep a tight end in the block and we're going to attack you. I thought they were a little maybe late to adjust to that. Mm-hmm. And then they did some of the Charger stuff we talked about that I think teams are going to dabble with as well.
A little bit more man coverage even on those fast receivers.
Exactly.
To the point where they even left some other guys uncovered but didn't pay for it.
No, they didn't pay for it, but because teams too, like Buffalo, they took a few chances and they double Waddle, they double Hill, and then all of a sudden a motion happens or the formation changes, and it can mess people up. And it's like, wait, I was doubling with you, and now they're over here, and I got to double with you. And there was a few plays that were there to be had because they blew up or they messed up their rules as far as according to the formation and the play being run. And there was 2-3 pass plays where I went, those guys are doubled. If he looked over here and played the concept, he would have had something big. And again, I think he's adjusting to the new way teams are playing him as well, as in Tua, the quarterback I'm talking about.
Yeah, Tua. Last thing here, because we're the Tua hating podcast. We always like to point out his mistakes. Was there any mistake by Tua in this game where there was a wide receiver open that he didn't see at any point in the game?
Well, yeah. Well, he had the one to the emphasis I'm talking about here again a little too.
Yes.
We had a play that I just wrote down in my notes and
early
Pete
fourth quarter. Actually, first play of the fourth quarter.
First
right?
play of the fourth quarter.
Third and
right.
3.
Third and 3, and he's got a little concept with 3 receivers to the left, and then on the right he's got a little go route and a slot out route. And he plays the slot out route. And again, this is a tough one. This is tough. And I don't want to blame too much with Tua. This is where it's hard to play quarterback in the NFL. Buffalo, they do a great job of disguising. Jordan Poyer made it and did a great job of making it look like it was some sort of single safety defense. And if you're watching on YouTube here, you could see now the ball snapped and look where Jordan Poyer is. They're playing 2-man down here. So within this play, this concept's not going to be open against this coverage. And up top, they're trying to play a man-to-man, but they haven't passed it off the right way here, as you could see, right? And Milano is going to the back on the swing route where I believe he should have carried Gesicki up the seam. But the motion and some of the stuff they did pre-snap messed them up, and they messed up those rules. And all I'm saying here, and again, this is tough. I see quarterbacks every week that miss
That's
plays.
what I was going to ask you. In fairness to Tua, could you pick out 2 or 3 plays like this for every quarterback every week?
That's where it bothered me a few weeks ago with the Zach Wilson thing. I wanted to go, I can go to every game and start to go, well, after we snap the shot, look, this guy's open.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, he's already looking over here and throwing the ball, right? But yeah, the way these defenses are, this is a good defensive unit as far as how they're coached, right? I talk about their disguises all the time and the things they do that way. So, yeah, they fooled him, let alone, like I was saying, this is something I think McDaniel and Tua are getting used to. Wait, nobody's done this to us, where it's like they play cover 0 on one side and they're playing 2-man on the other side. And they'll get more and more used to it. So Tua, again, I think was an encouraging game for the Dolphins. You went up to Buffalo in freezing cold weather with some snow and some wind, and you moved the football, and minus some miraculous moments by Superman, you're going to win the game. But that's where he's unbelievable. And that's where Josh Allen, again, I don't know if he can do it the whole way here. I question that. But he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, he forced them, Ahmed, just real quick to go back to that. I didn't mean to change it. But he forced them to where they didn't want to blitz a ton because they were scared to. They wanted to play a little zone, but they realized, oh, shit, he's just going to pick us apart. He'll get it out quick, or we'll get pressure, but he'll make a guy miss, and then he'll still get it out, and then he'll pick apart our zone. And that's where they got into, all right, we can cover these guys. We'll play man. We kind of got a feel for the routes they're running today. And we'll either rush 5 or rush 4 and have a guy in the middle kind of just reacting as soon as he breaks the pocket. And that's what he did to them. And even on the last drive of the game, I mean, we got to go 90 yards. We got to go down the field to score here, and we got to go 90 to score the touchdown before it. I mean, nothing's easy. The easiest thing he gets is we got to run quarterback power, and you got to weave through. That's the easiest plays he gets.
Yeah.
The completions are like, oh, here's a 20-yard out route. Can you throw that into the wind and the snow? Oh, here's a one-on-one 25-yard back shoulder that you got to throw in the guy's ear hole to make it happen. Oh, okay, no problem. And that, to me, I just don't know if that's going to be able to get it done. That's what scares me.
And he has some bad plays every once in a while.
He does.
We'll just never show them, though, because we like him.
What?
If Zach Wilson has bad, we won't show that either.
Don't try to do that.
We pick favorites.
You're not. I might talk favorites. I don't pick favorites. I don't do that.
One statistical green flag for the Dolphins. Just like an indication of how much better they've gotten. I think we appreciate it, but I don't know how we appreciate how much better they've gotten. Last year, yards per play on offense in the NFL, the Dolphins were 29th in the NFL, just over 4.5. This year, they're over 6, and they're second in the NFL. They've gone from 29th to second in the NFL in yards per play in offense.
Who's number one in yards per play? Is it the Eagles?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs, okay. That would have been my next guess.
Speaking of the Chiefs, as we move, perfect
But
transition.
you're amazing. That is amazing point, and that's why they're dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's why they're coming. And
it's
they
not like
and
their defense is good, too.
That's what I mean. They want to make plays.
Yeah.
And even in this game, they strip sack fumble on Josh Allen. He held the ball too long, being too greedy. There was somebody open. See, I do talk negatively about the guy, you asshole.
Yeah.
And he got strip sack fumbled because of it. He's got to be careful about being a little greedy at times.
It would be cool if the Dolphins made a run in the playoffs. I think it's a fun team to watch.
They are a fun
cool
team to watch.
Got a lot of talented players, but they need to go through the Bills. Probably need to go through the Chiefs at some point, who have clinched the AFC West once again. Although it was quite difficult for them against Houston last week, winning in overtime. So before we kind of get to the red flags of the Chiefs, we just kind of want to figure out, like, why was it so hard? And you want to take a closer look at the tape because, like, what happened? Was it turnovers? Was it penalties? What was it? Was it the offense getting figured out by the Texans?
Yeah.
What was it? Why
Definitely
was it so
wasn't the offense getting figured out.
Okay.
All right. That's where I want to start. I mean, their offense looks as good as I've ever seen it. All right. I'm glad we're starting there because it's I think, as versatile and as dangerous as I've ever seen it. He is playing unbelievable. This game was not a highlight show Mahomes played. This was a surgical Mahomes. There wasn't a ton of highlight plays. I mean, he had the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar run to the right, hook shot all the way across the field. That was amazing, right? But the rest of the game was him in the pocket, pinpoint throws, moving the right way in the pocket, making the right decisions, and their thing is self-inflicted wounds, to what you're saying. Inopportune penalties. I mean, here's McKinnon going down the left sideline, and we're going to be in field goal range in the red zone. And Juju, is 20 yards from the play. I don't know why. He holds the guy, right? And, now it comes back. And then they don't even end up being in field goal position, and they get no points, right? So it was like, hey, that was a good drive. They actually moved and did things the right way. They did that. And then, of course, Pacheco fumbling and Juju fumbling. At no point did you really think, there was one drive the whole game where you felt like they stopped them. But the big thing is, in years past, I worried about Kansas City with the handful of teams every year. I go, if they play this team, this is going to be a tough matchup for them because we know Kansas City can't run the ball and they're just going to throw it. But as you've heard me say, the run game is real. The screen game is real. The drop back, intermediate, short pass game is real. We know the deep ones are good, okay? We know that. And then they're getting underneath the center and becoming a real offense that way, too. I used to go, people in the screening room used to hear me say, I used to say, he's underneath center. Here comes a play action shot. And I used to go, it's just like a waste of time because they don't run the ball, and everybody knows when he gets under center, they're gonna try to make a big play here. They're gonna protect him and let him take a shot down the field. So no one ever respected it. Now the way they're running the ball and they're getting underneath the center and running the ball, it holds water to where now you're seeing the Texans were like, we got to play an 8-man front and play man-to-man. Holy shit. And so that's where there's not going to be a defense this year, if they did get to the Super Bowl, AFC Championship, where I go, oh, man, it's going to be tough for them today because they're good at pass defense and they can rush the passer. And that's where I think it's really encouraging for the Chiefs offense.
I think we have some numbers that back up what you were saying there, how much they're playing under center here. Pete, did we already show those or no? Here they are. 2021 to 2022, his completion percentage has gone up here. His passing yards about the same. Passing yards per attempt, though, have gone up. But, yeah, and Pete notes in my ear, we still got 3 games to go here. And it's something that they didn't necessarily do in the beginning of the year that they're gaining steam and doing
exactly
right.
That's exactly right, too. It's really just come here the last few weeks where it's starting to really become a thing. And I think that's because of Pacheco. And, of course, I think it's because of the offensive line. And I think also he probably looks at it, Andy Reid being as smart as he is, probably going, wait, I don't know if we can beat the Bengals again if we don't have a little bit more of that or beat them at all. They haven't beat them yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can beat, the 49ers at full strength or the Eagles at full strength if we don't have a little bit more of a balance and some other answers on the offensive side of the ball. So it's really an amazing offense altogether and what they got going right now.
One of the weird things with the Chiefs, though, and this has been the case the last couple of years, and teams, of course, play deep, don't want to give up the big play. Of course, when they had Tyreek Hill, they were scared of the big play there. But Patrick Mahomes' air yards per completed pass this year, 5.6. That is tied with Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White. We're talking in the 20th range in the NFL. It's not the end-all, be-all, but by taking a look at the tape, you did think that they're, maybe like the deep shot from one of the best deep throwers in the game, right. Patrick Mahomes, like that doesn't always link up for them.
I think it's the only part of his game that he needs to improve on.
Oh, so he does need to improve upon that.
I think he does. I think especially in the pocket rhythm deep throws. When he breaks the pocket, if you took that away, I bet you those numbers are good. Because now he's outside and he's manipulated coverages or somebody's gotten behind the defense because they think he's going to scramble and run, and that's fine. But I'm talking about, hey, play action, I got to hit this post corner. Or, play action, here's a post down the middle, and I took a 5-step drop, and now I'm supposed to throw it on the second hitch, and boom, I put it on the money. Tries to be a little too perfect with it sometimes. Like there was one of the worst plays he had of the game. He had Valdez-Scantling early on. I think it was first quarter, or maybe it was early second, on like a post corner, and he just tries to throw it so perfectly that it fell short and he couldn't get it. And I just want to go either just rip it right through his chest and like aim for his chest and just drive the ball through there, or throw it high and far and out there and let him go run and get it. It's the only negative that he really has about his game at all. But yeah, I think there's, they left some meat on the bone. And he threw another great throw off of play action to 83, which I think is I always get 83 and 84 mixed up. Or 84 Watson off a play action. They're backed up, and he dropped it. It should have been a big completion, but it's a real part of their offense now.
My statistical green flag for the Chiefs. I mean, they didn't really need one, but the running game, getting 4.78 yards per play, 7th in the NFL. That's actually right where they were last year. So that's interesting. And maybe they're just doing it a little differently.
Well, I think they're doing it more differently, right? And I think about when they're doing it in the game, right? And the amount of attempts I bet you the attempts are up this year as well.
Right.
Where like last year, I'm sure the yards per attempt were pretty good because they just threw the ball 30 times in a row. So now the defense is like, oh, they do know how to run. Look, they got a 9-yard gain up the middle, right? So now they're viewing it a few times where they're going, wait, the team thinks they're going to run, and they're legitimately running.
Yeah.
And that's where it's different than years past.
And they have taken a step forward in the passing game, which is crazy
Agreed.
To think about. Is second best in the NFL in yards per passing play, just behind the Miami Dolphins there. So that's pretty crazy, right? You lose Tyreek Hill, you go from 11th in the NFL in passing yards per play for the Kansas City Chiefs to now number 2.
It's crazy. And then within that, throwing the ball shorter to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, speaks to him reading things the right way, and then him in pinpoint accuracy where guys can run after the catch. That's the big thing, and that's where they're dangerous.
All right, so
there's a red flag.
What are the red flags?
Well,
this is Christmas. We got green and red.
Yeah, it's defense. The defense is the red flag. The offense doesn't have a weakness right now. The defense, the concern is youth. Chris Jones seems to be the only guy that can make big plays in big moments, right? And, as we've seen here with some good offenses, like the Bengals and the Chargers did whatever they wanted against them. And that scares me, let alone, I know Mahomes did some dumb things against the Denver Broncos, but then they moved the ball and capitalized on them. So that's where I worry about them. They're young in the secondary. So I think that like kind of handcuffs Spagnuolo a little bit to be a little more simpler than years past. And as you heard me say a few weeks ago when they played the Bengals, right? It's like either all-out blitz or it's fake the blitzing and we drop into Tampa 2, right? And I think that's an easy formula for young guys. I'm playing man-to-man or I'm faking it. I'm playing this one-zone coverage that we do a lot. And that is, I think, the big thing that that scares me. And then you add on top of that is they're not good in the red zone. So those double whammies, that's a little scary.
I mean,
especially in the AFC.
Not only not good, they're 31st in the NFL. I think the Raiders might be the only team worse than them at preventing touchdowns in the red zone.
So that says something right there. It kind of tells you that teams can kind of do whatever they want down there. That they don't have a great pass rush to get there and pressure the quarterback a whole lot. They're not necessarily great at running the football down there. It tells you that they're not great at man-to-man with back shoulders and things like that you see in the red zone. So there's some issues there, and that's what scares me about the Chiefs. And here's another red flag. Their field goal kicker has been bad.
Which is crazy.
Crazy.
He's been one of the best in the league for a while.
Definitely.
He got hurt early in the year. Who knows if that's affect him here. Harrison Butker at 76% with his field goal percentage. He is 30th out of 33 kickers this season.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It is. He was a for sure thing, I feel like, the last 3 years before this. And I got to think the injury has affected it a little bit or took him out of his mojo for sure. But, yeah, that's scary. They were a team, I'm not going to say they were in Ravensville, but they were a team where you're like, oh, once they get around the 35, that's 3 points. They're going to get it. There's no doubt about it. And you can't say that right now.
It's been a weird year for some kickers, though, because even the Bengals, McPherson, whatever.
Yeah, Money Mack has missed a few, too, right?
He has, too.
I know,
right? There have been some kickers who we've normally said are automatic, and Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals last week.
What the is going on in the world? Our pets' heads are falling off.
Is that true? What's that?
You don't know that? I know you don't know that movie. That is, damn. No. Our pets' heads are falling off. Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, okay.
When they come into their house and they're trying to find the briefcase because he's an idiot and stole the briefcase with cash. And, the bad guys come in and they rip one of their pet bird's head off to send a message, okay? And they think crazy things are happening. They don't know what they're idiots. They're Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
I haven't seen that movie.
I mean,
but I didn't want to let that just go, even though I didn't know what you were talking about.
You need to see that movie, bro. Okay? It's going to make you laugh.
I've probably seen it through all the clips that are shared.
I don't think you've seen it all. You need to see that movie.
Speaking of the Bengals kicker.
Speaking of the kicker of the Bengals.
The team that beat the Chiefs last year to get to the Super Bowl. I could have gone either way there with the transition. It's tough when you have pets' heads falling off. Yeah. It's like there's not really a clean transition to the Bengals.
Speaking of the Bengals, who are pets.
It is a cat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, lost their head a couple times this season. They're 9-5, but they will clinch a playoff berth with a win at the Patriots. Let me start with the statistical green flag, which maybe sound like a red flag when I first say it. This year they are 28th in rush yards per play. That's not good. You take a look at the teams like Joe Mixon. Has he lost a step? Got hurt? Was out a couple weeks with a concussion. Samaje Perine's been pretty good, but a lot of that maybe in the passing game. So they can't run the ball, and you're like, that seems like a red flag to me. Last year they were 26th in the NFL in rush yards per play. Right. So they got to the Super Bowl even with a similar effective running game last year. It's
interesting, and to where the stats can be a little misleading too as to where they are right now. Like the last 4 or 5 weeks, I bet you if we just took that, their rankings I think would be higher. They're starting to be able to run the football to where it's enough to make everything work and make the play action pass legit and all of that. So that's it is a positive for them. I know it's not, again, they're not a team that needs to be like Kansas City. We never thought they had to be the best rushing team in the football, but as long as there's a semblance of that, that means the rest of their offense is going to have some favorable matchups. And I do feel like they've gotten better, not last week specifically against the Bucs, though.
All right, so let's talk about the red flags.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot. I mean, we talk positively about Jamar Chase, and they probably do have the best 1-2 punch in the NFL.
Yeah,
T. Higgins
it's
and
up
Jamar
there.
Chase.
It's in that convo with Waddle and Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There's probably a few others that I'm missing off the top of my head right now. Hold on, let's just make sure we do that justice here.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, Hill and Waddle probably.
I think Hill and Waddle are probably the number one. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are up there, right?
Yeah.
That's another one. Lockett and Metcalf would be one that'd be up there at least. I'm just throwing ones that could maybe even be in that conversation. But your point's real. It's a damn good duo, that's for sure.
All right, so what's the red flag about this Bengals team?
Well, okay, all right. There's two things that kind of hit me.
One, start offensively, maybe.
What's that? Yeah, they're kind of a little bit both play into the offense.
Oh.
One, again, pass pressure, sacks, right? And it's been better. It's been like the run game. The last 5, 6, 7 weeks, it's been better. But it's still rare that your team has been sacked way more than your team gets sacks, right? So that's one issue I look at. But more specifically, and anybody that's been listening to the podcast, what my concern is with them. It's still the creativity, the complexity of the offense. And that I know it's going to look good against the middle class and the lower tier, but we're holding it to a Super Bowl standard here. And I think you can make a case the Bengals might be the best team in the AFC top to bottom. But this does concern me. And it's just think about last week. He threw 4 touchdowns last week. Their offense didn't do shit in that game. And they were fortunate their defense bailed them out and made Brady and that offense uncomfortable. That's the biggest thing. And, there's just too many stale moments, that, I'm a little concerned about. I mean, first off, we can go into last year, right? I mean, we can go. Tennessee was not an offensive explosion in that game. Yeah, they won the upset and they made a few big plays, but, I mean, Ryan Tannehill gave them some gifts as well. I mean, the first half of the Chiefs game, they were almost shut out, right? They were down 21-3.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl. I got to remind everybody, the Super Bowl was one play in the second half. They made one play. That was it. They didn't do anything else the rest of the second half.
And that could have been offensive pass interference.
And that was maybe the most egregious offensive pass interference we saw the whole season. Exactly right. Thank you. Right. So that was their play. Throw it deep on a go route, right? Right? Go routes.
Yeah.
So that is what is concerning. And then, again, we saw it last week, right, against the Bucs. It's the same kind of thing. Oh, pretty good D-line. Oh, they were a little healthier in the secondary. It's a good, pretty good creative scheme. They were on some of their bread and butter schemes that they run offensively, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, shit, what are they going to do? Oh, let him jam another back shoulder into Jamar Chase. Oh, let him jam another slant route to Jamar Chase. So that is what definitely worries me, Ahmed.
So both those points completely valid, of course, and we have numbers to back you up on the sack differentials.
Okay.
Because we like to do that. You make a point.
Yeah.
People think you're crazy.
Right.
And Pete goes, no, we got numbers to back him up. So that's what we try to do here. Here are the numbers. Worst sack differentials this season in the NFL. So they have 22 sacks on defense. They have given up 40 sacks. So that's minus 18. The other teams there with them, Bears, Rams, Broncos, Falcons. All those teams are bad.
Yes.
So that is crazy.
It is crazy,
the
right?
fact that Joe Burrow and company are, what are they right now? 10-4. And
now,
despite that.
Now, where I will say, and leave this graphic up there, Pete, if you can, again, those teams are bad, but the Broncos, Bengals, and Rams defenses are not bad, right? They're good defenses.
That's true. Yeah.
And the one reason I'll just say to where still the number one red flag is the offensive creativity in that. And then where I think this one it's a little weird and concerning, especially when you're in the AFC and you're going to have to probably play Josh Allen and Mahomes again, right? But their defense, like the Rams and the Broncos, is very creative. So, one, they do a good job of getting pressure on you at times, and two, they do a good job of, we've talked about in the Kansas City Chiefs game, every play was a different coverage. It was rush 3, it was rush 4, it was rush 5, it was rush 3, it was rush 3, it was rush 4. And it was like, oh, it's cover 4, it's cover 8, it's cover 6, it's Tampa 2, it's cover 3 with a spy. So that's where they can get away with not having a top-tier pass rush.
Can still clinch a playoff berth with a win at New England this week. They are 3-point favorites in that game. 2 questions in this game. Can the Patriots rebound from the lateral damage play? Yeah. That's number 1. And number 2, is lateral damage the best name for that play?
It might be. I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty good. But I mean,
the
poll
Twitter
was
poll.
Pretty good. Some of the comments underneath were phenomenal.
So Vic Tafer, I think, covers the Raiders, has done that for a long time, kind of came up with lateral damage. That is winning, or that won your poll. 68% of the vote. Myers Remorse was 16%.
Really good. That was a good one.
Heaving Las Vegas, also at 16%. That was Pete's.
Yeah.
There was one in the comments I really liked.
I know. What was it? Because I don't know if I can remember off the top of my head.
There were a couple that were really good. The one that I liked the most was Pitch 6.
Pitch 6.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Because I don't think do we have any other Pitch 6s or plays that are similar to that?
No, you're right. You're right. That might be a new statistical category right there.
So if they win that game, they clinch a playoff berth.
It's going to be on that Patriots defense. And again, this is where that game would scare me just a little. Is that Bill and them are going to be able to, they're going to go, oh, wait, we got their offense down. We know when this guy goes that way, the other guy goes this way. Like that's what scares me a little. But I would have a hard time thinking the Patriots offense is going to move the ball consistently on that Bengals D.
Bengals are 1 game up on the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North. But the Ravens, there's a way they can clinch a playoff berth this week. And so they've won enough games early on. Now they're kind of withstanding, treading water, waiting for Lamar Jackson to come back. I asked you Monday if we've heard anything. Have we heard anything?
No. Still, he didn't practice yesterday, so we just still don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anything that sounds like he's coming back yet this week, but we'll see. Maybe today will be probably a better, we get the official injury report today, right? So that hopefully we'll have a little gauge there.
So let's start out with the green flag for the Ravens. The good news.
Yeah.
Lamar may come back at some point.
That's
we
right.
hope soon.
Right.
And also, the defense has not been good for them this year. That's been bad.
Yep.
This year, their total defense yards per play is 15th in the NFL. So it's middle of the pack. Maybe it's better than you'd think it is. But last year, they were giving up 6 yards per play, which was dead last in the NFL. So they have improved in that category.
Yep.
And if you look at total yards per game, they are 10th in the NFL on defense, which speaks to a couple things. Maybe they're not quite as bad defensively as just give up a few big plays. And also, they do control the game pretty well, even though they haven't been able to run that well as a running game. They still were able to run with Lamar, and so time of possession. There's still a lot of ways. I mean, statistically, you look at this team, how they play, you're like, how are they a 9-win team?
Yeah.
But like you mentioned a lot, they play the game the right way
they know
and figure
what they
out
are.
ways to win games.
That's right. They know what they are. They play the game that week just to win that game. They don't care if, this is going to look pretty and sexy to the media and everyone's going to be happy because it was fun to watch. They just do what they got to do to win. The defense has been better. I mean, early on in the year, remember? I mean, we were talking about, oh my gosh, they're getting gashed and big plays and all of that. They've definitely hunkered down. So that's all positive. They're great against the run. That's awesome. And I like the scheme overall. I think the big thing for me with them, and there's a little double edge here a little bit, is just that marquee D lineman would be the thing I would worry about once again, where I don't know if they're going to be able to get pressure on Burrow, Mahomes, or Allen with just the front four. And now you're going to have to blitz. And I don't know if there's a marquee man-to-man guy. Marcus Peters certainly looks better. Marlon Humphrey's the only guy that I think is marquee there, but you're going to have to match up with more guys than that if you're blitzing. So that's where I guess I get a little scared for them overall. I like their scheme. They do a lot of different stuff. But I think we've seen some quarterbacks have their way with them. If they have a plan on how to pick up a few blitzes and not be overwhelmed by that, okay, our O-line's kind of good, and when you just have to rush 4, then we can pick you apart. And, I think their offenses kind of their schedule and their losses have a little of that in common, to a degree. And that's kind of what Jacksonville did to them. Cleveland last week was a little different. Buffalo did that to them a little bit. So we'll see. But I think that's the thing I worry about more than anything.
And, of course, the question seems like every year with them.
Yes.
Even more so now without Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Because the debate was like, is he enough to carry the passing game? And he's a big enough weapon to be the guy. Well, he's not even there anymore.
No.
Who is the guy, and are they going to need it?
They need something. We know Lamar back. To me, everything is always about the run game with them, as we've said. Greg Roman, he gets a lot of crap, but he's an awesome run game designer. And when the run game's chopped out from him through injuries and all that, one, he's not the best when it's just like, we got to throw it every play. But 2, their team and talent is not the best to do that either.
So Mark Andrews is leading the team in receiving yards.
Right.
With 702.
Right.
Second is DeMarcus Robinson, 419. Then you got Devin Duvernay.
Who's on IR right now.
And Rashad Bateman behind him.
Who's also on IR.
Okay, that's a problem.
That's scary, right? That's scary. That's where I keep pounding. I know I've done this for our last few podcasts, but when they're a healthy O-line and those 2 running backs are healthy, it really makes their team different. And then if you can get Lamar healthy, that's where, statistics for them are not going to look that pretty and look like a Super Bowl contending type of thing. But to what you said, playoff football, that style of football, they do have a few guys that can make some plays in some big moments, whether it's Lamar or the running backs, or even a Marlon Humphrey, the 2 safeties, at least to go, they could do some special things, individually. But I think those are real concerns. The run game does have to work for that pass game to go, especially with what they got right now at receiver. And Lamar's got to be healthy. And then the pass rush and the balance of risk-reward, blitz at Allen and Mahomes, a Burrow and all that, that's something they're going to have to get exactly right in the playoffs.
Yeah, it seems like for them to have any chance, it's going to have to be Lamar putting the team on his shoulders, which we've seen in the past in the regular season.
Yeah, you got to see it in the playoffs.
Haven't seen it in the playoffs yet.
We'll see. He did beat the Titans that one year, right, in the wild card game and made some pretty miraculous plays. but you're not to the point of we're expecting MVP,
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. It hasn't laid out that way quite yet.
Doesn't have the team around him like Jalen Hurts has a team around him with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 13-1. They've clinched a playoff berth. Chris was praising that Eagles team, saying how good they were, one of the best offensive lines, best defenses, two of the best wide receivers, one of the best tight ends, a great backup quarterback, and the Eagles fans hate him for it. Your public enemy number one. I don't really have a statistical green flag for the Eagles just because it's all been
green.
It's like the team has been awesome. And however you want to slice and dice it, defensively, offensively, running the ball, passing the ball, they've been able to do it all. So I guess the question is about the red flags and what are the red flags for the Eagles?
That's the question. It's just what are they? That's where you have to because there was so much made about the run defense, right? Because there was the Houston game. And then that Washington game that they lost. And you go back and you look at it, Houston did some good things. And Houston, we know, can run the ball a little bit. And then we made a big deal about the Washington game and just, kind of going through this exercise and going back and looking at things, too, and going, man, we made a big deal about Brian Robinson's 26 rushes for 86 yards. And we're like, oh, my gosh, somebody's actually getting 3 yards per carry on that's how good they are. I think that's what it kind of speaks to. My only question about them on the defensive side of the ball was for a little bit of, and you heard this at the end of last year, where they've been a little simple on the back end. They're creative now. So I think that's led to them being more dominant on that side of the ball. So defensively, nothing. Offensively, there's really nothing about the physical part of the team or anything that's a weakness either. I have one thing that I'll bring back. Hey, we know the drop back pass of a team can, I question that a little bit still, maybe a little, but not that much. I've seen enough good decisions and good throws to go, I think if a team really stops their run, they're still going to be tough to beat with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. So that's not the thing. Here's my thing more than anything. Don't ignore the running back. That, to me, is where they fall into the trap a little bit every now and then. He's throwing RPO here to A.J. Brown and, go route to Devontae and A.J. Brown and, quarterback design run and, read option off the edge and blah, blah, blah. And I know, okay, that's good, but your best thing you do is when you just smash it up people's face in the run game. And that's one thing, when games have gotten tight all year long, that's the first thing they do. Colts game, end of the game, run it down their throat the whole drive down there. They can sometimes get a little too enamored with the rest of their toys, which I understand. It's a little bit like we talked about with Miami. Wait, Tyreek and Waddle have been open all game. Why would we just hand the ball up the middle? That's boring. And that'd be the only thing I would look at to go, don't forget that. Nick Sirianni last year at the Combine, we had a conversation on air, so I'm not sharing anything off air or anything like that, where he said the bright light for them last year went on in the Tampa regular season game where they were like, wait, we got to start living through the run a little bit more. They were trying to still play pass game and do all that. And the next week they went and played the Raiders. And that was the moment where the light bulb went on to go, wait, we got to be a run-first football team. And then we can use Jalen Hurts and all the things he does off of that and really be dangerous. And I think that's the one thing that I look at with them to go, don't forget.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. But there's not much weakness.
So
there.
As Pete notes in my ear, he said the biggest potential problem for the Eagles is themselves.
A little bit. Well, even think
choosing the wrong thing.
The Washington game. The running backs got the ball twice in the first half. It's a problem. And you were losing at the end of the first half. There's just moments there where I go, hey, that O-line, nobody's been able to stand up to them yet. Dallas game got close, right? We got 23-17. What did they do? It might have even been 20-17. I think it was 23-17 at that point. What'd they do? They went, we're going to run the ball every play. The hell with them. And they just went down the field, put the game away. And to me, that's where they just can't lose that aspect,
Jalen Hurts was the MVP favorite just last week.
Yeah.
That has changed now to Patrick Mahomes because Hurts got hurt. Hopefully he comes. I think he's supposed to be healthy by the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a chance I don't think he's holding himself out yet this week.
Is that true?
I think he's. They were claiming yesterday that there's still a chance.
They're at Dallas. Huge game, obviously. 4.5-point underdogs are the Eagles. I guess Vegas is thinking that Hurts is not going to play. But this is where you got into trouble with Eagles fans. You said they wouldn't be that much worse with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So Alex 7192 says, so if the Eagles lose their last 3 and choke away the number 1 seed in the division, will you vote for Hurts as MVP? I think he's assuming that Gardner plays all those games.
Oh, gotcha. That's what when I was reading that, I was like, wait, so why would I vote for him if he choked away the last 3 games? But that's what we're saying there. You're right. All right, so no, but I do think it'll help show his worth. I don't deny that, Alex. I mean, I don't. And again, I don't.
Your argument wasn't that they're better with Gardner Minshew.
No, exactly right.
Is that it won't be that much of a drop-off.
Exactly. They'd still be in the conversation of one of the better teams in football. That's all I'm saying. That's all I was trying to say. I get that. And that's, again, it's not like people take this shit and they just go crazy with it. And I want to go, like, it's not a crazy thing. Like, you lost a quarterback, and you guys weren't that much worse when the guy took over and you went and won the Super Bowl just 4 years ago.
We've seen it before.
There's a lot. I mean, Joe Montana left the 49ers, and they went to the NFC Championship game 4 out of 5 years. Like, okay, yeah, he had a team around him. Joe was still awesome. He was still really good. Doesn't mean they were better with Steve Young. I'm just, again, I'm just trying to point out the team and just why I didn't think he was the MVP. That's all I was trying to say, Alex. And so I got great respect, and I was wrong about my quarterback rankings, and he should be higher, and he will be higher.
That's what people say. They go, Chris never admits that he's wrong. It's like, well, you do every podcast, so they need to listen. Yeah, he goes, he's afraid to admit it. He doesn't want to admit it. Like, well, they got it.
There's also people who don't listen, because I know the people that listen. I look at the comments, and they're always like, one of the things they are always positive about is our podcast is we're not like everybody else on TV, and we admit when we're wrong. Right. I see it all the time.
We wear red pants. Who else wears red pants?
Who does
on TV?
Right.
Nobody.
So
you're going to pick the Eagles to beat the Cowboys? You think, or cover?
Are they're underdogs by something right now?
4.5 points, right?
4.5
as of right now.
I'm definitely going to pick the cover.
Oh, you think if Hurts doesn't play, that goes up? To 6, maybe, Pete.
Yeah, it went to 6 and then went back down. I think when he kind of said, "Oh, there's still a chance." I think that was like, "Oh shit, he might play." I just bet $9 million on them losing.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. You got to wait for the picks pod for that official word there, but should be a good one. So let's go to the Cowboys right now.
Yeah,
they're 10-4. They have clinched a playoff berth with their 10 wins this year. It's been a good year for them. We talked about Dak Prescott. What was that? Just last week.
Right.
And you're like, it's good. Dak's better than how he's playing right now.
Yeah.
There's been some interceptions on the year, and there were a couple more interceptions here in this game. So let's just start right there. You did take a little bit closer look at this tape.
Yeah.
Was Dak better, or was he making some of the same mistakes you've seen in previous weeks?
Dak was better. I think you got the gist of that from reading my notes, right? I mean, he played really well. Do I still think that's his top end 100% potential? No. No, I still think he can be better just throwing the ball. And even like we talked about when we did our social videos and some of that last week, some of the balls he threw this week still on the money in the right spot. But you know me, I'm looking at it and really dissecting it and going, "Oh, that was still kind of a wobbler that's not spinning." So I could still tell the ball wasn't coming out of his hand the right way. But he played phenomenal. There's no way you can blame Dak Prescott for them losing this game.
Rider Life 88 says, Chris, you're my go-to. But study Dak's first interception versus the Jags.
Yes.
His right arm was grabbed while he was throwing. Dak said he should have taken the sack with the guy in his back, but it was too late. It wasn't just a bad miss, like you said, on Unbuttoned. Let him know, Ahmed.
I know. He is
Ryder,
right.
I just let him know.
Well, but he is right. And Ryder Life 88, I love it. That's right. Bring it to me. I should have explained this better. I knew. Pete, we were in the room Sunday night doing the highlight package, remember? And I was going, look, the guy's right arm is on him. I didn't do a good job of elaborating on that a little bit. And my other point was just like, you're up by 10. You don't need to be that aggressive. Don't even take the chance. That's what I was really trying to say. And even within the offense itself, they got to save himself from himself a little bit there. That's where I was trying to make. Totally not his fault. 100%. I think where I misled it is just I was the overall, hey, people, just be ultra conservative in that point. That was my only issue there. Neither interception was his fault. Rider Life 88, neither one. The second one, he threw the ball perfectly to lose the game. Threw it just where he wanted. It was short yardage. He put the ball to protect the guy. He went down and get it. He can't knock the ball in the air. He just got unlucky. But he was really good. I got no issue with that at all.
Yeah, your note saying that Dallas's offense was number 1 in the NFL last year. You think that they might be better this year?
I do. I think it's better. I think their traditional run game is better. Like they are at the point where they can just line it up and say, "Screw you! You're expecting the run. We can run it, right?" And then I think, I actually think Kellen Moore and company and the offensive scheme and the creativity has gone up a notch from what I saw last year too. Remember, my complaint last year was if they can't run the ball, their pass game is not creative enough to stand alone. They need the play action and some of that to help their offense out. I don't feel like that as much this year. I look at them in games where they are struggling to run and go, ooh, no, the pass game still got some good answers, and he's getting some cool formations and motions to help everything out. So I really like that.
Kids See Ghosts has a comment on Kellen Moore. He said, what did you think of Kellen Moore's play calling, specifically at the end? Why call those fancy run plays instead of running up the middle? Did you notice that?
I'm trying to remember here. Like, is he talking about in the overtime or the end of regulation? I guess that's what he's maybe talking about is the end of regulation. And that's where I'm not quite sure where he's going with this. And I'm literally looking right here because I saw the question.
Chris is one of the fastest laptop users. I think that's an underrated quality that you have.
Thank you.
It's like you look up statistics and film mid-pod. I don't know how you get it so fast.
Well, I got it all ready to go, and I know where I save it, and I got my process. So, but I think he's talking about the end of the game situation, right, where they're up 34-31, and he wants to know, why they didn't run it. All right, so here we go. First run, they pulled the backside guard and the backside tackle, and they're trying to run up the middle. But it's a 6-man front, and they're playing to sell out on the run. So the guy on the defense end, he just follows the running back from the backside and goes, and they have a right guy for the read option, the backer filling over the top for Dak Prescott. So they were a little outnumbered in the scheme itself, and the DN did a great job. All right. I, again, would be always one to go, I'd like to see you run the ball, get underneath the center, and do it that way, right? That's the first thing I would say. Now, second down, because everybody's so jammed into the line of scrimmage, they run the old, Pollard's out there to the left, and they toss it to him on a speed sweep reverse kind of thing. But there's all the people in the middle. I understand the thought here. I'm not mad at that. Right? I'm doing this in real time as I'm sitting here watching this. And then third down, they threw the ball, and he took a shot deep down the left sideline, and, he tried to give CeeDee Lamb a chance. So I have no problem with that, with the question there. I don't. I think there was merit to it. My only thing I would say is just get underneath the center on that first down run and do it that way.
So my green flag, that was pretty cool, too. That was mid-pod instant analysis.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well, maybe we should do that more times.
I can do that.
Throw something at you, and you just start pulling up film.
As long as I got it downloaded on the computer, I could do it in a hurry.
My green flag for them, the statistical green flag, it does concern their offense here. Their offense in the red zone this year, they have scored a touchdown 72% of the time. That is second best in the NFL. Just behind Philadelphia, who's just a percentage point ahead at 73%. So they get it down there, and that run game, Zeke has punched it in. Pollard got the speed on the corners.
That's right. And they got guys that can win on one-on-one matchups, and they got a quarterback that can go, like we were talking about with Josh Allen, who's got a strong enough arm to go, oh, yeah, he's covered, but I'm going to throw a laser at his ear hole, and we'll still catch it. So I think that's the correlation I would make there, Ahmed. You're right. And then the run game's the biggest key there, because then it even gets the play action passes going even in the red zone, even when there's not a ton of room that the defenders have to worry about behind them.
So I guess the red flag conversation is around the defense, which is crazy.
I know, right?
Because we started the year being like, man, that might be the number one defense in football, which is crazy from where they came from. And by the way, I was listening to parts of the podcast back on Monday, and I described the week is crazy, every game is crazy, and so I think I'm over on my use of the word crazy, and I've done it again. But
self-scouting himself,
self-scouting myself,
right?
But the Cowboys, what's going on with the defense? Now, not all the points were because of the defense in this one. You have a pick six in overtime,
right?
But are there red flags on defense for the Cowboys?
Yes, there is. There definitely is, and they're still a great unit. I mean, I don't want to say great. They're really good. They are. I do think teams have, have a little feel for how they play. They realize early on, hey, let's be conservative. They just try to create chaos. Let's not turn the ball over early and get them going. And then all of a sudden, it's just like a free fall of Dallas making plays a little. But I think like there's two things that jump out to me more than anything. It's just that, the D-line being small is still an issue. That's definitely an issue. I mean, they didn't have enough big people last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars have a bigger offensive line. They got pushed around. We've had the conversation. Other than Bohanna, they really don't have another 300-pounder on their team. Yeah, he's 340, and he's young, and I don't think he's a great run stopper at this point. But that is an issue, and I think that coupled along with they're an aggressive defense that likes to put people at the line of scrimmage, and they like to dabble and play some man-to-man and get in your face. And they got two, rookie corners that they have to rely on right now, too. I think those are the two things that scare me a little bit. And, again, they're going to get away with they're going to be fine against most offenses in football. We're holding them to a Super Bowl standard. It's the elite offenses. It's the offenses that I worry that have a little bit of a balance that can beat you both ways. That has seemed to give them issues, and especially in that run game department like we're talking about.
Yeah, as the game goes on, you think teams that have the size advantage have a little bit of an advantage.
They can wear them out. They definitely can. You could see that happening to Dallas a little bit where, again, they've gotten used to their speed. The game is fourth quarter. The guys aren't as fast because they're tired and have played 65, 70 snaps, and that is where I would worry about them against the Philadelphia or the 49ers a little bit in the NFC playoffs because their size of those offensive lines and their ability to run the ball could wear them out a little.
A couple players you name check in your game film study is DeMarcus Lawrence on the line. It's just,
he doesn't pop enough for me. For a guy that's being paid that kind of money. It's been a good player for a while. But, for what they're paying him and what I've seen him capable of doing in years past, he's not doing that. There's been a lot of games this year where I go, damn, I forgot DeMarcus Lawrence was even playing. And that's not a good thing.
But on the other side of it, a couple rookies, Deron Bland, nickelback.
Woo. He's a stud. Again, he's young. Made a mistake or two, but the talent's real. Rookie from Fresno State, it's real.
Fifth rounder,
but it's a lot of pressure on him, like I was saying, because they get in your face and want to play bump a lot.
I was looking at his stats. He did not have a start through week 8, but now has started 5 of the last 6 games.
Yes, sir.
Leaning on him more.
They are. They're definitely leaning on him.
And how about their rookie second rounder Sam Williams out of Ole Miss?
Yeah, Sam pops.
He liked him.
Again,
he doesn't play as much.
But when he gets in there, I always go, wait, 54. Sam Williams again. I mean, he shows up. He disrupts a little bit, and that's where I was like, even with the DeMarcus Lawrence, there's not enough of those plays. I don't care. You know me. I don't care about the sacks and the tackles. I want to see disruption. That's the number one thing for a defensive lineman, and that's where I feel like they're lacking. The Damone Clark, the rookie out of LSU, the linebacker, right? He looks good. I think he's gonna have to rely on him a little bit if Van Der Esch is hurt. But that's the concern with Dallas a little. Is lack of size, having to rely on creativity and chaos to get it done, and then having to play aggressive in the back end because of that. And now you got rookie corners where, teams are going to test them. Oh, when we run a pick play, are they going to know how to pass this off or go over the top or go underneath or what? You know what I mean? Those are the things they're going to have to deal with. And they got a big completion late in the game on him with a little bit of a pick play up the left sideline because he wasn't sure to go over or under, and he went under, and then that was it. And then the guys got the advantage, and he was up the sideline. Christian Kirk, actually.
So we're just focusing on playoff teams here. But who knows? The Jaguars could be a playoff team. They're not out of it yet.
They're not.
Division's not very good. Maybe they're going to catch the Tennessee Titans. So a quick look at Trevor Lawrence once again. He was pressured on 44% of his dropbacks. That was the second highest in the NFL last week. Zach Wilson's 48% of his dropbacks, pressured almost half of the time by the Detroit Lions. My Detroit Lions. Well done, guys. A couple plays that we have the all-22 for that you wanted to highlight here.
Yeah.
Zay Jones won the 59-yard touchdown. Got by Kelvin Joseph on this one.
Yeah. One, I think the big thing is just like, here, there's two things to talk about. One, I think it just shows you how Jacksonville can be explosive. And when he's playing like this, I mean, his arm is, electric. He's got a laser. He's athletic. And, he's getting more confident, everything there, to where they're starting to be like, they can strike. And so you got to always be scared of that. And here with this instance here, A guy who I really like in Calvin Joseph, and I think he's got talent, a second-year guy at Kentucky, it's 27-10. Let them throw the 10-yard out route. Who gives a shit? The number one thing about this moment right here is time on the clock, not the 10-yard completion. That's where I feel like coaches got to say that to their players every now and then. The yards don't matter, guys. We want the clock to keep ticking. That's the most important thing. And this was the jump-off spot for the comeback. Again, this is why I think we're seeing more comebacks than ever before, and 17-point leads are erased like this. Because, sometimes it's just we're going to be aggressive on defense. It's like it's got into the analytics of offense where it's aggressive. It's the defense is the same thing now, too. Let's just be aggressive. No one's going to get mad at us if we blitz and we were trying to be aggressive. And then no one answers a question or asks a follow-up question and go, well, yeah, but that's stupid. He's got a big right arm, and that guy's one-on-one on an island with him. So why aggressive? But, yeah, to this point, defense is risky a little bit, but more on Calvin Joseph and just play deep and let him throw the ball underneath. Gets beat in the double move, and then Lawrence throws a laser on the run touchdown.
And one more guy that popped for you was Evan Ingram, of course. 2 weeks ago, had that huge game, eliminated my fantasy football team from the postseason.
Your
I was
team,
like, oh,
Ahmed.
man, it would suck to be playing against Evan Ingram. And I was like, oh, I am. That's terrible. Dragged Jaron Kearse out of bounds late in this game. Crucial play.
Man, game's probably over. I mean, first off, look at where he's being tackled on the top of the screen, Ahmed, because this is probably the first time you're seeing this too, right?
Inside the numbers.
He's like 3 yards inside the numbers, right? He caught the ball 3 yards inside the numbers and then dragged Jaron Kearse 12, 14 yards to the sideline?
At least.
I mean, at least. Exactly. So that was like a huge moment in the football game. The guy, again, here's the perfect example of sometimes a change of scenery and the fan base having a perception and it just taking over because he dropped some balls in some big moments, which he did. I get that. And it just nothing, there couldn't never seem to be a positive spin for the poor guy. He's gone here, and he's found a second life, and he's one of the more talented pass-catching tight ends in football.
That guy, Oliver, asks you something that you've kind of touched on already, but maybe there's something more to add here. Is Doug Peterson a Seattle scheme beater, or has the Cowboys defense taken a step back?
No, I think it's Doug and them. They're not afraid to be aggressive and take some chances and some shots. And I can't sit here and tell you Dan Quinn is a Seattle scheme guy as much anymore. There's still some of it, but no, I think it's more of the matchup itself. And yes, Dallas, like we've talked about, size, playing aggressive man-to-man all the time because they're maybe worried about that run defense and all of that. That's their problem. But they're still a really damn good defense, and they're still dangerous as hell too. They still can make plays, and they caused some turnovers in this one. They let up too many plays and got unfortunate and turned the ball over twice. That hurt them.
All right, so the Cowboys have 10 wins. The Vikings have 11 wins. Although sometimes if you were to listen to their fan base, you'd think they'd have like 5 or 6 or something like that. Although they have been voicing the support of the Vikings, and I don't know that they're getting as much credit as they deserve. A lot of their games have been close, one-score games, and they've won basically all of those games. 11-3, they have clinched the NFC North. I don't have necessarily a statistical green flag, but I think one of the green flags for them, or the positive signs, especially last week, is seeing the big playability come back for Dalvin Cook. It's because you already know you have it with Justin Jefferson. You don't have it as much anymore, I think, with Adam Thielen.
Right.
Osborne has made some of those big plays in the passing game, though, and Kirk Cousins for sure has been able to lead his team back. But I think for them, seeing Dalvin Cook still being able to turn on the Jets and separate from defenses, and the Colts a pretty good defense,
yes,
with some speed on it.
Yes,
I think that maybe is one of the more promising things for the Vikings over the last couple weeks.
Agreed. He's still dangerous. Their problem as far as Dalvin Cook conversation to what you're bringing up is just can they open enough holes for them in the running game? They're not a very good running football team. They're more of a, their runs, and I think we've hit on this a little bit, is that their runs are more of, they've been getting gashed by Justin Jefferson and gashed by Justin Jefferson. And so now you're so worried about the pass that they change it up and run the ball and they kill you that way. But they're 28th in football rushing the ball. That I think, kind of says it all. They're 26th in yards per rush. So They're not that way. And the other thing that would scare me too is a little bit of like what you're talking about. Is they're just a little too Justin Jefferson-centric. That would scare me. Again, I don't think you're going to get away with that against the good defenses in football. And we've kind of already seen that. What happened? The Cowboys game, the Eagles game, they took Jefferson out of the game a little bit, and it was like, so what's your other answer? And that scares me a little bit about their football team. Again, I give them a lot of respect, but I'm still sitting here and I'm amazed that they're 11-3. I really am. I'm amazed by it. I can't recall a team having this good of a record where I've gone, man, I'm just not in awe of them, and I'm a little bit underwhelmed at times. But, credit to them for getting it done.
It's like buying something at the store, right? It's like it's you really like it, but it's not worth $1,000 to me. Like if it was $500, I'd be like, that's really good. So if the Vikings record right now was 11-3, 7-7, you'd be like, man, that's a pretty good 7-7 team.
You're right. You're exactly right.
They can do something. They're dangerous.
Right. I think you're right. I mean, to a degree, you're right. I mean, even if they were, not even if they were 9-5, I'd still go, hey, yeah, there's some problems with their team, but man, they could be scary in the playoffs because, like Ahmed was just saying, one screen pass to Dalvin Cook or 2 or 3 plays to Justin Jefferson, and it's like, oh crap, we're losing by 2 touchdowns. I hear you. But, yeah, I don't look at them as the elite team on that side of the ball. And then especially when you get into the defense, too. The defense, that would be probably the biggest, red
it's
flag.
Good to be able to come back in games.
Yes.
Come back from 33 points down. It's not as ideal to get down 33 points to the Indianapolis Colts with an aging old Matt Ryan. He's aging 2 years every week, I feel like.
Well,
at this point.
He is. And they benched him for Nick Foles, just to give everybody some current news that's going on right now. So that kind of tells you, too. Yeah, when you're playing Matt Ryan, you don't have to play 20 yards coverage downfield. You just know the ball's going anywhere between 12 yards and under, and that's hard to beat defenses that way. And really, I mean, again, we talked about it on Monday. They didn't really beat the Vikings defense. It's just Vikings kept screwing things up, and it was like Matt Ryan was like, sure, we'll take the ball on the 18-yard line going in. Yeah. So there was a lot of that. But, I mean, red flag? Of course. It's the 32nd ranked defense in football. Have we ever said that about 11-3 football team?
It's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy.
It's insane. So I don't see great talent. The 2 pass rushers, okay, but I'm still not like, oh, wow, Zadarius and Danielle Hunter, watch out. The secondary is nothing special. And then I think when you add on top of that, they're too conservative on defense. It's just too easy. Like we've said, it's just the disguises aren't great. The coverages are too bland, and it's like teams literally play them and go, wait, they're playing pass coverage, but we don't even care because they're not good at it, and we're going to keep passing it. That's what's crazy. You watch games and you go, they're literally begging teams to run the ball, and teams are like, nah, we'll throw it. You still won't stop it. It doesn't matter. And it's not like they're like special in run defense either. So that is the red flag, and they are an enigma of the 2022 season.
Having said that about their defense, though, can the New York Giants score some points against them? So this week, the Vikings are 4-point favorites over the Giants. I feel like this game could go one of 2 ways. I feel like it could be either a close Giants victory or a Vikings blowout.
I'm with you. That's funny you're saying that. I mean, we didn't even talk about this before, but I hear you. Because you go the Vikings, well, they might be able to run on this team, and then the Giants like to play man-to-man, and we know who the can't be covered man-to-man, and that's number 18, Jefferson. So all that sets up to like, ooh, this could be a week of this offense goes off a little bit, right? And I don't know, but will the Giants have a game plan? And then we, like you're saying, Vikings defense is not good. This is where they're running the ball, Daniel Jones design run, keeping it off the edge, bootleg for 5 yards into the flat of the crosser. Like it might work against this defense consistently. So I hear you. It's an interesting matchup. It really is.
The only way I could be wrong there is if the Vikings win a close one.
Yes.
So I hope that doesn't happen at this point now.
Right.
Or I guess the Giants, Pete goes, or the Giants blow them out.
Yeah.
Which I guess, who knows? You never know.
Crazy year.
You know what? It has been crazy, as I like to say. The last team that we're going to talk about here is the 49ers. They have clinched the NFC West. They did it on Thursday night on Amazon with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. They are 10-4 right now. I think I do have a statistical green flag on them. Oh, I do. I think I have a couple here. So their offense, average time of possession is 32 minutes, 11 seconds. That is the second best in the NFL. So they hold the ball very well, which is great for their defense, which is already so good. And less time on the field. It's like you often talk about teams fitting everything together, and one thing helps the other and helps the other. I think the 49ers are a good example of that.
No question.
They also have the seventh best interception rate on offense. So they don't throw the ball away to the other team, and they also don't give up a whole lot of sacks. Seventh best in sack rate in the NFL. So it's like they limit the negative plays on offense, they hold the ball, and then their defense is on the field less time. I feel like that all works together. It makes the San Francisco 49ers super dangerous.
Super dangerous, super ready for a playoff football team that way. Like there's no a little bit like the Eagles. I sit here with the 49ers and go, there's no glaring weakness, right? It's not like, oh, I look at this and go, man, this is a real concern. And you explained it right, and really what I want to say is their running game's only getting better. That's what's scary, is we're seeing them like, hey, we're not even going to be fancy Shanahan-y here. We're just going to run it up the middle and gash you. So that's where they are scary, to your point. I think there's two things that pop to me. All right, first off, offensively, and this is, again, we just kind of had this conversation a few minutes ago. Red zone percentage. Red zone touchdowns, goal-to-go percentages, right? Again, if field's condensed, he can cheat the safety into it. He's playing pass defense, but he can be downhill and stop the run game in a hurry, right? All right. Their drop-back pass game is not one that just necessarily lights the world on fire, nor do they have the quarterback who throws laser back shoulders, even when, like we were talking about with Dak Prescott or Josh Allen, who, hey, they're covered, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. It's a great throw. They don't have that. Not saying Brock Purdy can't be that, but that's something that's not part of them. So that's one thing that I would say. Again, you're going to be playing good defenses late in the playoffs, Super Bowl. They're going to be good in goal-to-go percentage and red zone defense usually, right? So that's something. And then one other thing I'll say on defense is just that they need somebody else to emerge in the pass rush department. It's too Nick Bosa-centric. Somebody else on the D-line. Armstead I don't think is 100% yet. He's playing, but not 100%. They need some other guys to start winning one-on-one matchups. They're creative, and they help other guys out with, a linebacker standing between the defensive tackle and the defense end, and it messes up. But, again, if they're playing, they can't do all this stuff if they're going to be playing Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, or the Cowboys, or Josh Allen and Mahomes in the Super Bowl. They need Kinlaw to get back. They need Armstead to start playing to his capabilities. Ekubom's good on the edge, and they got other guys that are good, but Bosa's the guy that usually makes the play. But when he's playing Orlando Brown and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, that might not happen. That's an awesome left tackle, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So somebody else has got to start winning the matchups. It's nitpicky, but we're talking about a team that, before the season, we said them and the Eagles had probably two of the three best rosters in football. So there's not a lot of issues there with their football team.
Little did we know that good roster went all the way down to the third-string quarterback. Brock Purdy.
We forgot that. We didn't evaluate that part.
Who was good again playing with what? He doesn't have broken rib. What does he have?
He's got the oblique strain.
Oblique strain.
Right. And I think he looked good. He's doing a good job, man. He really is.
They played Seattle in this one, who is outside the playoff picture right now at 7-7, I believe. I did look up a couple stats on them.
Cool.
So this year they are 8th in the NFL in passing yards per play. 8th in the NFL with Geno Smith as their quarterback. What do you think they were last year?
Passing yards per play.
Which I like to use, too, because it's it's just per play. It's not like if you throw the ball a ton.
Yeah, I know. Exactly right. All right, so last year, so they're 8th. I'm going to say last year they were probably, and then, so Russell got hurt. I'm going to say 24th.
They were better than that, but they were 13th. Okay. They were mid-pack last year. So, but that's still surprising to me. I don't think a lot of people would think that. You're right. Russ was hurt last year, so they took a step back, but they were 13th. But Russ wasn't hurt a whole lot before then, and in 2020 they were 15th. In 2019 they were 9th. In 2018 they were 11th. In 2017 they were 14th. You got to go all the way back to 2016 when they were 7th in the NFL in passing yards per play to have a better year for that Seattle offense led by Russell Wilson than what Geno's done this year.
Geno should be. I think they'd be crazy not to bring him back as a starting quarterback. I mean, it's not the system. He's making unbelievable plays and throws. And as I said to Pete getting ready for the podcast, like watching that game back a little the last few days, just like, I mean, he was under pressure like every play. I mean, it just nothing was easy at all. And he hung in there and at least kept them in some manageable situations. And of course, their defense couldn't get them all, the 49ers off the field in some big moments and gave some big plays. But, yes, it is big throws, aggressive decisions, and him throwing unbelievable balls all over the football field. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Good for Geno Smith.
I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs.
I don't know
it'd be
either.
Pretty cool if they did. And if you're a homie and if you picked him to make the playoffs, I would almost already give you the win there because it's like, that's pretty cool. You're going out on a limb. No one thought that. And, of course, Pete has been tracking all the entries by the homies, 816 of them, their playoff predictions before the year. You tweeted out the link once again to the spreadsheet. So if you did submit your entry and filled out your name, which I think everyone did, you can go find what you picked and how you stack up. Pete's compiled some of the more interesting numbers. The Chiefs, by the way.
Yeah.
So let's start with the Chiefs. 66% of the homies had the Chiefs winning the AFC West Championship, including you. And you're right. Well done right there. We should have just all done that.
Well, you're right. I mean, I don't know if I'm right yet. We'll see.
Oh, why? Wait, is it possible? No, wait, they did. They won the division.
AFC. I don't know why. I was thinking AFC Championship. I don't know what I was thinking
AFC
there.
West. No, you're right on that.
I am right. You're right.
I had the Chargers winning the West this year. They're also my Super Bowl team. 4 people had the Chiefs missing the playoffs.
Man, okay, we got to drug test those 4. Those
4%.
Oh, those 36 people.
Wow, more drug tests need to be sent out.
We have Quest Diagnostics will be at your house tomorrow because we have to drug test.
You'll get a test. You need to show up within 3 hours.
And if you said it was just because they lost Tyreek Hill, we're going to be back to test you again next week.
Congratulations to 20% of you out there who had the Vikings as the NFC North champ.
Way to go.
Only 20%.
That's pretty good, I think. That's pretty high, actually. I wouldn't have done, I mean, obviously, I didn't do that.
42% had them as a wild card team, including me, so
Way
I did
to go,
that.
Alvin.
Thank you.
Way to go. How dare you do that to your Lions? Jeez.
38% had them missing the playoffs, including you.
Yes, I did.
Not many people picked the Lions to make the playoffs, but Pete, did you pick the Lions to make the playoffs? Did I read that correctly? He did.
Whoa.
I didn't do that.
That's amazing.
I didn't
want to
be
Pete.
Heartbroken twice there. 49ers, 35% had them winning the NFC West title, which they have done, including you, Chris. You had them beating the Super Bowl champs, the defending Super Bowl champs in the Rams. 52% had them as a wild card team. We got 13%, including myself, had them missing the playoffs entirely.
That's okay. You weren't sure about the quarterback.
That's what I wasn't.
The quarterback thing was a real big thing for you before the year.
It was. I was like, is he going to
hold
him
ruin
back?
The team?
I did. I thought that was a possibility.
Yes.
But he was not there by the end of the year. Cowboys, 46% had them in the playoffs. Wow, only 46% of people had the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't.
I did, yeah. But I'm not going to lie. They were one of those teams where I was like, I'm not sure if they can make the playoffs this year. The Randy Gregory losing him. I'm worried about a little bit of that. Amari Cooper, him being gone. I wasn't quite sure where it was going to go. I had some questions about the offense. So, I definitely flip-flopped a little myself on that one. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was the oracle all the way through.
You're not alone. Half the people did not have the Cowboys in the playoffs. However, we were all wrong, basically, on the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. 98% of all of us had the Rams in the playoffs. Only 19 smart people picked the Rams to miss.
That's amazing. Way to go.
Postseason. 62% of us, including myself, had them winning the division. 44% of us had them making the NFC Championship game. 20% of us had them in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And 3% had them winning it all.
Damn.
So,
I just had them as a wild card team. I know that. I had them making the playoffs. So, again, hey, listen, I just definitely did not see that type of fall off.
Pete notes that we will post all of these via your Twitter, the latest stats, and so you can check out Chris's Twitter for that. But since the Rams have been eliminated now, thanks to their Monday night loss in Green Bay,
it's time Super Bowl champs.
It's time to put them to bed. I did not think we'd have to do this.
Gosh, but you didn't do it
in December.
They did it to themselves.
They did it to themselves. You're right. Here lie the Los Angeles Rams, a Super Bowl hangover they did encounter. This year, Matthew Stafford did flounder. He gave you a title, which is truly quite vital. Now hand us your precious first rounder. Yes, we got it.
Oh, that's a bias to Requiem there. He's loving that.
I mean, that really did work out. Maybe best case scenario for the Lions. Because a lot of us did want to see Matthew Stafford have success, and he goes over there and wins a Super Bowl.
Right.
Awesome. We used that worst first-round pick that we could possibly have last year to trade up and get Jamison Williams. It worked out.
It worked out great.
And then this year we're probably going to have a top 5 pick, maybe top 3. Who knows?
It's amazing. I mean, it really is. It's crazy that, you guys, as good as you are, the Eagles, I think the Eagles are going to have a top 10 pick right now, too.
Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah. Seattle too. Holy crap! So
right.
it is. That's why the NFL is awesome. It really is.
I'm glad we got to play some music right there.
That was a good job.
And we get to end the pod with more music because we have to give out 2 big-time awards.
That's right, baby.
Woo! It is that time.
Like big butts and we cannot lie.
The big butt of the week.
Oh.
Time to give some love to these big guys.
Some tushes.
There's a couple sacks, forced fumble.
He's a butting superstar.
Woo!
Give it to him, Ahmed.
One butt cheek.
And this is why you're the big butt expert of the world right now.
So I can't believe this first one.
Have you told your wife that you're a big butt expert?
No, I haven't told her that.
Lying to your wife, hiding your deep dark secrets.
Yeah, I'm not lying. I'm just not
revealing
everything about myself.
Yes.
Defensive tackle, big butt of the week. Interior defensive lineman. You could make the argument that he sometimes is an edge guy, but we're going to give it to him on the interior here. J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
For the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. First time we've given him the award.
Good.
How is it taking this long? He had 3 sacks, had a forced fumble, had a pass defense, 3 tackles for a loss. I think it was all at halftime versus Denver.
Was it all in the first half?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I think
I remember seeing him on the screen a lot during the game. I do.
And he was one of them, and he posted on social media afterwards that he was drug tested after the game on Monday.
It be like that in the NFL.
A lot. A little too good out there.
You play a good game, and it's random. It's random. Oh, yeah, it was random that, the day after I ran 4-2 up the sidelines and ran away from everybody in football, I'm getting drug tested all the time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Good to see J.J. Watt, though, still able to do that. One of the coolest players in the NFL,
Definitely.
I think, that I've, it's just like he's J.J. Watt.
J.J. Watt is right. He's one of the greatest defenders ever. He's an automatic first ballot Hall of Famer. He is, for me, in the room of Hall of Famers of the Hall of Famers. What did he win? 3 NFL defensive MVPs?
Did he win that many?
Yeah. He was unstoppable force for a 5, 6, 7 year part of his career there. Had to deal with some injuries. But, yeah, he's phenomenal and still really damn good. Like, not a superstar anymore, but still really damn good. And he's still, every game you watch, you go, oh, there's J.J. Watt sneaking through the line. Oh, there's J.J. Watt batting the ball down. He might not be the sack machine he once was, but he's still disruptive as hell.
First ballot Hall of Famer, which maybe we'll be saying about this next guy, one day.
I hope so.
Our edge big butt of the week goes to Kayvon Thibodeaux. Your New York Giants had the grand slam in the game, the sack, the forced fumble recovery, and touchdown all in the same play. He really was in the backfield a lot of the game.
A ton.
Disrupting the running game, the passing game as well. And I looked at all the rookies out there. He's top 3 in quarterback hits, pressures, and hurries. So he's kind of racking up some of those stats as the year goes on here. He was a guest on the Peacock show afterwards. We talked about this a little bit on Monday, but we didn't get to hear from Kayvon or Rod and Jack out there. So This is what the discussion was with you after their Giants' big win with Kayvon Thibodeaux on set.
Chris, Kayvon said you talk a lot of trash too, man.
I bet he
we
does.
all gonna play today. Hey, you don't want to mess with him.
Way to go, Kayvon. Way to go. I hope prove me wrong, Kayvon. You the man.
Yes, sir.
He still called you sir.
It was very nice. It was very nice of him. What did he say? You don't want to mess with me. Is that what he said at first?
I think, yeah.
Oh, listen. Yeah, I know he's gonna beat me up here in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I had a feeling it might go that way. Yeah. I really did. I was very ready for it. And the other thing that crossed my mind is I was very close to going, hey, Kayvon, did you see the pregame show? Rodney Harrison said that you watch the film and you don't get after the quarterback all that well. I wanted to call out Rodney too, as he was influencing that conversation.
Sure. I think Rodney would have probably been okay with that.
He would have. But I was flustered in the moment, and I wanted to make sure that, again, as I always say, I'm rooting for these guys. Yeah. I'm rooting for him. I'm a Giants fan. You know, I'm not going to just sit here and tell you he's been bad just so I can justify me being right with the draft ranking. That was an awesome performance. Deserved it. I mean, he might have been, he was defender of the week, right? And he won NFC defensive player of the week, I think. Right. I mean, I don't think anybody had a first half like that, from the past week that I saw. He was dominant.
I was with you on draft day where you were freaking out about Kayvon Thibodeaux and that pick, and you're just beside yourself. If you would have known then what you know now, that he's a big butt award winner in week 15,
I would have been like, Jaguars, you should have taken him at number 1.
So congratulations, J.J. Watt and Kayvon Thibodeaux. You're in the graphic. You've got the Elephant Butt Trophy Award. Put it on your mantle. You have
second Giant of the year to make it too. Look at that.
That's true.
Sexy Dexy made it. Kayvon Thibodeaux.
Sexy Dexy's the only player, either defensive tackle or edge, who's won that award 2 times.
Double time. Well, he's got a big enough a butt. You know, he's got to get. He's worthy of the elephant. One for each cheek.
I could have given it to Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa was also in consideration.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to do Kayvon.
What were his total pressures? Did you ever see that for the last week?
I did
Bosa?
not.
I know he only had the 1 sack, but it seemed like he was around Geno a lot.
Maybe like 6 or something like that. But so that's it.
All right, we did
it.
We did it. Way to go. That was good shit right there, I think, at least. I mean, we hit on a lot of good things. I hope everybody agrees.
We may be biased.
We may be biased. We try not to be.
Pete said it was good.
To give you some,
Pete confirms it was good.
Oh, well, because he's not biased. but again, you know the deal. I love the questions. I love the pushback. Please subscribe, rate, review. Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed, you the man, wearing the red pants today. Just driving the ship as usual, making me look smart. You know, pushing back at the right times. Even though you didn't push back much today.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, you were pretty good.
Yeah.
You were my friend today.
It was a well-rounded conversation.
Thanks, you. It was a well-rounded conversation.
The good and the bad.
Tomorrow, Week 16 Picks podcast with Florio. Tune in, okay? It's the joint Picks podcast collaboration. And then after that, enjoy your holiday week.
Yeah.
Okay? For everybody out there that might not listen to the Florio podcast with me picking games tomorrow, have a great Christmas. Have a great holiday. Happy New Year, whatever. All those good things. Be safe out there. Ahmed, you the man. You are my buddy. And Merry Christmas to you as well.
Merry Christmas, Chris.
Clap it up.
Clap it up.
Thanks for watching, homies. Hit subscribe to see all my unbuttoned videos. You get to see me, Ahmed Fareed, all the big player breakdowns, game breakdowns, player interviews, and my film analysis. So please subscribe. Simms Unbuttoned. Peace out.